Well, howdy, all you collector car fans out there. This is Jason, the owner and founder of Southern Bush Motorsports. Boy, do I got a tall tale for you today. I was making a run, I believe I was in Texas, and I was out there and I was buying a bunch of cars and taking pictures of people's collection. I got a call from a lady that said that her father had passed away and he used to own a salvage yard, and he stuck all these cars in a cow barn. Well, I wasn't expecting much. I was only expecting, maybe 10, 15 cars. And when I got over there, she said, "I'm going to tell you right now, the family wants $1 million for this collection." I'm like, "Are they restored cars?" And she said, "Nope, they're not restored, but there's 302 cars stuck in a cow barn." I'm like, "How is that even possible?" She goes, "We got some rules for you taking pictures in there. One, you got to take your shoes off. You can see the marks on the cars too." I literally had no room to move. I don't know what they did is they chained these cars together and just kept pushing them in. So I literally had to climb over the cars in socks, which was crazy. There was no lighting in there. You could hear the cows kicking the barn on the outside of it. It was crazy. I was just black. Like, this is an outside picture of the stuff that he didn't want to put in the barn, but there were still some cool cars there. No, I'm not saying there were some Hemi cars or some Yenko Camaros or anything like that. There was just a lot of stock cars, but, there was rows of Corvettes just like this. Basically, these were cars that in the 60s and 70s, in the 80s, he owned this junkyard, and when he towed a car and they didn't pay the tow bill, he kept the car. It's a Chevelle right there. Nothing fancy about that car, but that car is completely untouched. And it's still got the original hubcaps on it. There were so many cars like this all over the place. Mustang convertibles all over the place. Cars that were just cars that people were driving and didn't pay their tow bill, and the cars got towed. There's a Mercury Cougar there. Quite a fit of Mercury Cougars. You like those. You really like those Mercury Cougars. I had a blast documenting going over this building. I personally didn't see giving $1 million for this collection. I mean, there was probably about $300,000 worth of scrap metal there, 300,000 or 400,000. Nice Firebird sitting right there. The old Jaguar. That Jaguar was original paint, chrome, completely untouched. I don't know why the hood was up on it, but nobody had touched that car, period. There's some second-gen Camaros. So this is actually going to be a 2, maybe 3-part series, just because there were so many pictures that I had to take of so many cars. I took pictures of as many of the cars as I could, but, look at these convertibles all over. Look at the convertible tops in the background and stuff. Just some crazy cool stuff. What I really loved about these cars, there's the back end of these Corvettes, is these cars were untouched. None of them had been restored. They were all original. I took a lot of pictures for documenting purposes for, people ever restoring a car. It's a nice Firebird right there. I think that's a Roadrunner beside it, and I think it's a Chevelle on the other side of it. Just absolutely crazy. Firebird convertible. Really cool stuff in there, and the greatest part of it all is surface rust. That's all there was on these cars. A lot of surface rust. No rot. Nice first 67 Camaro right there. It wasn't an SS or anything like that, but the hood was sitting on the ground behind it. The door was there too. There's a nice Chevelle. That wasn't an SS either, but you can see a little bit of rust on the car, but they were solid cars. No question about that. It's a nice Camaro sitting there. It looked like some of the cars had a few parts picked off of them over the years, but definitely they were pretty much untouched cars. There's another backline row of these Corvettes I was telling you about. Obviously fiberglass bodies, they didn't rust at all, but these cars were literally packed everywhere. This was a bit of an opening where I think that was a Chevelle and a El Camino. But there were some few areas where I was able to touch the ground and walk around. This is one of them right there. Look at all those convertibles in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out convertibles I could see in just that. They were literally all over the place. I think that was a 442 convertible. It's kind of hard to remember. I took these pictures, I think, in 2005. My memory's a little bit rough. Tons of Mustangs. Some really cool Mustangs. That's original paint Mustang right there. There were so many weird marks on these cars, like from raccoons and stuff. There's a fastback Mustang. I really wanted to get that car out of there, but it was Unfortunately, with these people, it was an all or nothing deal. Either buy a ball or that's it. You get nothing at all. Just like I say, there's just cars all over the place here. It was a old Firebird. There you go, lots of Mustangs sitting right there. And like I can't say it enough. The coolest thing about these cars is untouched, unrestored, super solid. Look at that convertible right there. I think it was a Buick Skylark convertible. But if back in the day, if your car was on the side of the road and it sat there for too long, they were just coming to getting it. Some Firebirds, some Camaros. So your car just got picked up and taken off the side of the road. Just the way they did it back then. Back into a car. I think the reason I wanted to take pictures of that, how solid it is around the roof line, the trim. You can see these cars are just super untouched, super solid. There's a Firebird convertible right there. I bet you there was 15, 20 Firebird convertibles spread out in this barn. And it was so weird being in the barn. Look at the Corvette convertible. It was so weird being in this barn because you can hear noises, you can't see anything. The only reason these pictures came up is because I carried an extra flash with me to light everything up. Look at that bad boy right there. I can't even tell what that is. Stuck in the corner, up against the wall. Look at how tight the cars are together. It was mind-blowing how tight these cars were together. I don't know how he got them in without screwing them all up, but he just kept pushing them in there and pushing them in there. And the kids said that was a nemesis of their life, is their dad with these cars. And when you get the bug, you get the bug. There's nothing you can do about it. And he was smart enough to tuck all these cars away. Didn't tuck the cars away that he probably could have, the Hemi cars and Yenkos and stuff like that. But he tucked away quite a bit of the cars. And great starting ground for working on these cars. It's another Firebird. Look at all the convertibles in the background there. It was just insane. I had a really good time. I was here for about 2 days. I think that's not a Roadrunner. It might be a GTX. 68 maybe. Little Nova right there. So cool. Look at that car. Missing the headlight and the grill, but nothing wrong with it. Nothing touched on it. Another Camaro. I think it was a convertible, actually. Might not. Maybe it was a hardtop. But it was fun. It was a little dangerous. I got banged up pretty good. There's Firebird convertible. I got banged up pretty good. Oh, look at that. 2 of them. 3 of them. 2 of them. I got banged up pretty good, and I had to backpack food in, and water and that. Because once you get that far in, I mean, you're talking, this cow barn was 1/4 mile long. Easy. And there was a couple openings, about 3 different sections of openings that I could stop and sit down on the ground and have lunch and whatever. But once I entered that building, each one of these 2 days that I was there, that's it. I was in that building. There's a Challenger right there. So yeah, I mean, once I got into the building, that was it. I had to stay in that building for the whole day, and they knew I was in there, and they sent somebody to come by and check on me once in a while. Yeah, so I'd be in there all day long, and I would have my camper van and trailer sitting on the side of the barn, and I'd sleep out in the desert, and that was it. That's what I did. There were a little bit of parts and stuff on the ground in there, but mostly this guy just strictly towed the cars and parked them. And if you didn't pick your car up, well, then you lost your car, and he just parked it. There was some numbers that usually are written when they go through an auction on some of the cars. I think he picked up some of these cars at an auction house when he was collecting these cars. But hey, at least the guy was smart enough to stick these cars away when he did, and we're all grateful for that. Look at all those Mustangs sitting right there. And then one of the other things is even if I did get, I think that's a Cuda on the right-hand side there. How would I get all these cars out of there? Like, this was one of 2, like, almost driveways to get down to the rest of the openings. And they're like 3 inches apart, 4 inches apart. There's a nice Mach 1 right there. See how solid these cars are? Even though they're bagged up, they're still solid. There's no questioning about that right there. I think it's a Mercury Cougar and a big old Humpty Dump car. There's so much stuff, but I'll tell you what, if you experience what I experienced, to see all these cars, I think that was a Camaro, a little rough, but a couple Camaros sitting beside each other. To see these cars that solid, that's where all your money goes, is into the bodywork. I think there was a Firebird right there. All the money goes into the bodywork. When you start with a desert car, it's super solid to begin with. Yeah, there you go. Cutlass convertible right there. I think that actually was a 442. But see the writing on the windshield? Some of these cars came from auction houses and stuff. There's an Impala. Really super solid Impala. I think that's a convertible. Yeah, it's a convertible Impala. Different year beside it. El Camino. Two El Caminos sitting beside each other right there. Super solid cars. Nice to see them so much untouched. I think that was a Birchland Mercury there. Well, I appreciate you coming by and checking on another Tales from the Bush. And like I said, there might be another part to the series on this. And, keep on collecting.